It's about time with Rashawn's About Time Boxing, aka Mr. Trill 100 Mil. Y'all already know my spill. Um, Thank you to every single one of y'all, man, who rocks with me, who been supporting the channel, watching the channel, you know what I mean, liking, sharing the videos, leaving the comments. Thank you to the people who don't, rock with the channel, who don't like the stuff that I say. At least y'all took the time to watch it, so I appreciate y'all too, whether y'all agree with what I say or don't. Um, excuse me. If you're watching this video or any of my videos for the first time, please hit that subscribe button and encourage others to subscribe to Rashawn's About Time Boxing. And don't forget to hit that notification button to stay up on the latest with Rashawn's About Time Boxing. All right, so today's episode of Rashawn's About Time Boxing is sponsored by USA Unlimited Staffing Agency, now staffing in Philadelphia and in the Pennsylvania area and in Ohio. Um, so you can contact 267-779-8915 and just use the code word RBTB. And so if you're a LN, RN, a CN, certified though, certified, and you looking for gainful employment, then contact Unlimited Staffing Agency USA at 267-779-8915. And also, this episode of Rashawn's About Time Boxing is sponsored by Wayne Avenue Health Store. That's 5007 Wayne Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19144. Phone number 215-420-4302. They ship worldwide and they deliver locally throughout the city of Philadelphia. So if you call in to place an order to have it delivered or shipped, again, use code word RBTB and receive 10% off of your first order. And every order after that, when you spend $25 or more, you get a 10% discount. All right, so this narrative that's going around about Jaron Ennis and his fight with Chukhadzian. I was at the fight. I was in the building. I was there. I was at the fight. Salute to Bam, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, put on a good fight. Khalil Cole, keep your head up, man. You'll be back, man. And Raymond Ford, salute to Raymond Ford too. He looked real good too. And Ishmael Muhammad. Look out for Ishmael Muhammad too. Youngin look real nice. So this narrative with Jaron Ennis. So now all of a sudden, now you got people now saying, oh well, oh man, Boots ain't this now, Boots ain't that. Jaron Ennis this, Jaron Ennis that. Oh, he better not fight this person. And this right here, so this is for the windshield washer, the windshield wiper fans. Because these are people who sway back and forth. Because the same thing happened with Bud. Same thing happened with Tank. Same thing happened with Shakur Stevenson. When they, knocking everybody out and doing all this other stuff, everybody with them. And then the minute they give, a performance that some people may consider to be lackluster, or saying, man, he should have got that boy out of there. It's funny how people who never put on a pair of gloves or who never been in a ring and you just spectating the fight from the outside looking in. And then you talking about how somebody should have knocked somebody out. And if you've never been in the boxing ring or never boxed, you know how hard it is to actually knock somebody out? Things are always cliche, easier said than done. Do you know how hard it is to really knock somebody out? The kind of patience you have to have, not try to look for the knockout, not rush it, try to let it come to you. set traps. Because you got some fighters who could be losing every round up until they get the knockout. Bernard Hopkins against Oscar De La Hoya. He was down on all the scorecards before he stopped Oscar in the 9th round. Some people had Frank Martin ahead against Tank before Tank stopped him. Some people had Rolly Romero ahead against Tank before Tank stopped him. And I know y'all looking at keywords, stop or knocked out. Jaron fought this boy twice, man. And second time he should have got this boy out of there. Kareem Chukhadzian has only been knocked down twice in his whole career. Even in his amateur career, he's never been knocked down. He's only been knocked down twice in his entire career. And one of the people to knock him down was Jaron Ennis. And then he was knocked down by somebody else, but he's never been knocked out. He's never been knocked out. And now for starters, I know some of y'all might think that, oh man, I'm, taking, I'm not, making up no excuses or nothing. I'm just speaking facts. And some of what I'm telling y'all actually came from a very, very close, reliable source. Very close, reliable source. Now, for starters, Jaron Ennis didn't even want the rematch with Chukhadzian. So that's the first thing. A lot of people making it seem like, why he fighting this boy like Boots wanted the rematch. He didn't want this rematch against this boy. He didn't want it. Not because, Chukhadzian is awkward, which he is. He's one of them awkward type fighters. And they was trying to make, now Chukhadzian went through all of the necessary paperwork, did everything he needed to do to get this. He wanted the rematch. Chukhadzian wanted the rematch. Boots didn't want it. Boots was trying to unify with any one of the champions. Barrios, Stanionis, or Brian Norman. And I'm going to get to Brian Norman Sr. and Jr., in a second. I'm going to get to them. But he didn't want the rematch because he was trying to move on to bigger and better fights. Not saying that, but he, it's that, been there, done that. And the way the fight played out the first time, man, and ask Roy Jones what it's like when you got to try to get up for a fight. See, this is why the second half of Mike Tyson's career, when Mike, started like losing the people that he ordinarily would have never lost to, and when Mike started, kind of giving like somewhat lackluster performances and stuff like that. Because don't sit up there and tell me that the Mike Tyson that lost to Lennox Lewis is the Mike Tyson that we all know. Because we know that ain't that Mike Tyson. The Mike Tyson that cussed D'Amato bread, Lennox Lewis, or Holyfield never beats that Mike Tyson. But when you got to try to get up for a fight, and I was there, and I had good seats. I was right there. Boots followed this dude around, and everybody like, oh man, like this boy, man, he getting hit with stuff and all. It's boxing. I know y'all hear the term, yeah, do this, do that, and then swim without getting wet. Fine. Who swims without getting wet? You can't swim without getting wet. Can't. And you can't just jump on the expressway without making sure there's no oncoming traffic before you get on there. So this was a fight that not only did he not want, they were trying to make him go to Germany, and it was like, oh man. But now here's the thing, and this is what I'm talking. Now with Brian Norman Sr., yeah, this is for you, and I hope you do see this. You peasy head clown. I hope you do see this. November 9th actually was supposed to be reserved for your son to get knocked out. And Jaron Ennis would have knocked your son out. There was purpose in that one. Unification. He get to snatch 2 belts. Cause see now Brian Norman Sr. did this video and talking about, oh, I told y'all Boots was just a regular fighter. He's a regular fighter. Who did your son beat? What names is on your son's resume? When he fought Giovanni Santillan, y'all got paid what, 180,000 or something like that? And y'all was supposed to fight on Keyshawn Davis undercard. And y'all probably would have got less than 500,000 probably for that fight. Or maybe right around that amount. And so Jaron Ennis and Team Ennis and Eddie Hearn, they make y'all 3 different offers. So 1.7 wasn't enough for you, for Brian Norman, senior and junior. So 1.7 wasn't enough for y'all to prove that Jaron Ennis is a regular fighter. If he's so regular, why didn't y'all take the 1.7 and prove it? Oh, y'all still probably having flashbacks about what he did to your son in sparring when you had to pull him out the ring. And everybody who was there, who saw it, already said it. You pulled your son out the ring. Greg Hackett was there. Shout out to Greg Hackett and Rasheem Jefferson. They both was there. So all this stuff you talking about, and then now you talking about, oh, now you talking about going up to 54. Oh, you gonna run up the. So now he's running up to 154 now because of you and your son, because of Brian Norman Jr. That's why he's going up to 154, because he running from y'all. Are you serious? Like, come on, man. Make the shit make sense, man. Make the shit make sense, because come on, man. You know how stupid you sound, Brian Norman Sr.? You know how dumb you sound? Talking about he running up to 54 because he's supposed to be scared of your son? See, this is the thing that I be talking about. And listen, I'm probably about 12, 13 minutes into this video, and I really didn't, and I'm hoping that I don't have to go too much more longer, because I don't, I really want to try to keep my videos shorter, but some things just needs to be addressed. Now, Peasy Head Norman Sr., you saying that Jaron Ennis, I told y'all he's just a regular fighter. Is this y'all king? And you saying all this. But y'all had the chance to prove just how regular he was. I'm sure it wouldn't have been no rehydration clause and none of that stuff in the contract if y'all would have signed it. Y'all could have got the 1.7, try to prove that Jaron Ennis is a regular fighter. And then once he had knocked your son out or stopped him, rematch clause, y'all could have exercised the rematch so he could have did the same thing to your son again. See, again, this is what I mean. Like, when people always be trying to talk about how somebody is a regular fighter who don't knows what it takes, even though you watch your son train, you're not the one training. You're not the one getting in the ring. You don't know what it takes to get up for fights. But y'all didn't take that 1.7, and ain't no maybe. Y'all didn't take the 1.7 because y'all knew what was going to happen. Y'all just got that belt and already it's gone, because y'all feel like the only leverage that y'all have is that belt, because y'all name is weak in boxing. And nobody really was checking around for Brian Norman Jr. until y'all started calling out Jaron Ennis with these fake call outs, knowing that y'all didn't want to fight, but just trying to bring some attention to y'all because, hey, we got a belt too. Why ain't nobody looking at us? And then you want to talk about your history with Boots. Oh, you know, why don't we spar Boots? Then you try to lie about the sparring, talking about how it went, knowing that Boots whooped your son's ass. And Bozy even said he got the receipts. He got messages and all that. And that's why Bozy said, see, I don't really like doing stuff like that, man. I don't like, trying to, like expose people, put people out there like that. But man, his father know what my son did. He know what my son did to his son. And again, I gotta say, shout out to Greg Hackett, because see, Brian Norman Jr., I mean Senior, see, you like Floyd Schofield Senior. Like Greg Hackett said, he one of them fathers. He got a son that's in boxing. He excited that his son is in boxing and doing stuff. And he got his emotions all tied up in it. It's my Greg Hackett diabolical laugh. I love that diabolical laugh Greg Hackett do when he knows somebody's speaking on some bullshit that don't make sense. I bet you this, because Virgil Ortiz ran up to 154 to avoid fighting Boots. But like Eddie Hearn said, he might get a call from Turkey Al-Sheikh talking about trying to make the fight for February or something like that. But if that fight don't happen, why don't you call Eddie Hearn and say, look, we'll take the 1.7 to fight a unification fight with Jaron Ennis in February. I bet you your son will lose that belt. Matter of fact, I tell you what, why don't y'all fight Karen Chukhadzian? See how easy it is to knock him out. Karen might beat you. He might beat your son. He might beat Brian Norman Jr. He mess around and beat him. And some of y'all might have looked at like just clips of the fight and pieces of the fight. Some of y'all saw the fight. Shout out to to y'all who watched the fight on TV. I was there. And you can see that Boots was frustrated in the fight. He stayed focused, but he was frustrated. Cause he like, man, damn, I gotta fight this guy again. And he really didn't want the fight. So he had to get up for the fight. He made the weight easy. He was 140 weight in 146. He made the weight easy. 146. I'm just like, oh man, I gotta get up for this. And so I know a lot of y'all like, oh man, he fighting this boy again. Nobody want to see this fight. Yeah, you're right. Boots didn't even want to see the fight. But none of the champions were signed contracts. Excuse me, but none of the champions were signed contracts to unify with him. They wouldn't sign contracts to unify with him. So that's his fault. And then see, you just had them type of things where, you're just not gonna knock everybody out. And by the way, Boots never been knocked down. But Brian Norman Jr. was knocked down in the first round by Danielson Bocaccia, or Danielson Bocaccia, I think his name is. Boccaccio, whatever his name is. But he knocked your son down and your son was hurt. So what's gonna happen when Boots touch his chin? But you just gonna keep spinning this narrative just to keep bringing some attention to you and your son. Because y'all ain't got no names on your resume. Y'all ain't really beat nobody. That belt was a gift to y'all. Y'all ain't been through no fire. And as far as the people, I mean, shoot, he was 13. When he was 13-0, he had a no contest. And that's probably somebody he probably should have knocked out. At that stage in his career, you coming up, supposed to be a prospect. So everybody like, oh man, he fighting this boy again, man. I know he gonna knock this boy out this time. Bud fought Madrimov and didn't stop Madrimov. And what everybody said, Bud lost the fight. Even though Bud clearly won the fight. Tank fought Isaac Cruz with one hand because he didn't knock out Isaac Cruz. Now all of a sudden, Tank lost the fight. Shakur Stevenson fought Hardatunian. Oh, he won the fight, but man, it was lackluster performance. He fought Jeremiah Nakathila. Shakur Stevenson said the same thing. Oh man, I'm falling asleep. Oh, he making me tired. People leaving the arena. Hell, Look at let's go back to Gotti Ward, Mickey Ward and Arturo Gotti. They fought 3 times. They hit each other with everything. Gotti even bust Mickey Ward's eardrum in that fight, in one of their fights. And anybody, and if you don't know about Gotti Ward, the trilogy that they had, 1, 2, and 3, then you don't know shit. You don't know a damn thing about boxing and how styles make fights, or how styles do and don't translate in the ring, and how sometimes no matter what you hit people with, they just not gonna go out. Even if you knock them down, you just not gonna knock them out. You can't knock everybody out. And Gotti and Mickey Ward and Toro Gotti, rest in peace to Gotti, they fought 3 times. Gotti won 2, Ward won 1. Gotti won 2 unanimous. Mickey Ward won. It was a majority decision, I believe it was. So when you just look at when you just look at certain fights, you just not gonna knock everybody out. Some people just not meant to be knocked out. Boots had the ball hurt, and if y'all watched the fight, y'all seen the dude kept grabbing, holding. Ref Harvey Dock even took a point. He kept grabbing, holding. And Karen even fought dirty. A couple times tried to hit Boots where he tried to, like he was throwing the right hand and tried to hit him with the elbow. A couple times. Fighting dirty. And even and that's why Boots was like, man, like, boy, he ain't hit me. Whatever he hit me with ain't nothing. But at the same time, if you watch the whole fight, y'all seen, and I'm not gonna say flashes of how good his defense is. Like, when he won, you know what I'm saying? Like, you seen him completely slip, you know what I mean? Pull back, roll, slip shots and all that, spinning away from them joints. Like, come on. Y'all ain't gonna get his kid no credit because he didn't knock this guy out. Now all of a sudden he's a regular fighter. And everybody want to say, oh man, he better not fight this person. He better not fight that person. See, Boots is the type of guy that when he goes up in weight, that power coming with him too. So yeah, he gonna be dangerous at 154. And look at Virgil Ortiz last fight. He really lost that fight. And he got knocked down. And he couldn't finish that dude off. You didn't hear nobody saying Virgil Ortiz is a regular fighter. And he looked average, regular at best in his last fight. Brian Norman Jr. looked regular in all his fights. He's just a regular fighter in all his fights. It's just about the level of opposition that you fighting. And salute to Shakur Stevenson because he said, like, listen, when you get to a certain level, say it's a difference. And people who on the outside looking in, y'all don't understand that. Y'all just looking at a fight and thinking about how y'all think the fight should go in y'all mind instead of really trying to think this thing through with logic. It's not easy to just get in there and knock somebody out. And then if he chasing the knockout, oh man, he shouldn't have been chasing the knockout. Oh man, he playing, man. Like, why don't he get this boy out of here? You need to get this boy out of here. You know how hard it is to get somebody out of there? Shoot, I drop people, you know what I'm saying, in sparring with people. I drop people. I knock people out. I've hurt people. I've been hurt sparring and all that type of stuff. It's not easy to knock people out when you in that ring. Just like Mike Tyson said, everybody got a plan till they get hit. Karen might have had a plan, but when he started feeling Boots' power, he did the same thing he did in the first fight. Only difference is he got dropped in this fight, and you looking at somebody who's only been down twice in his entire career. But I tell you what, Brian Norman, Jr. and Senior, why don't y'all sign a contract to fight Karen? I'd love to see that. Put your belt on the line against Karen. Fighting. Go to your promoter and tell them, like, I want to fight Karen next. Since, y'all think Boots is regular, y'all didn't want to fight Jaron Ennis to prove to Jaron Ennis that he's a regular fighter. And deep down inside of that peasy head of yours, Brian Norman Sr., you know damn well Jaron Ennis ain't no regular fighter. Stop it. Stop it. You know better than that. Some fighters just have awkward styles. I bet you if Bud was to rematch Madrimov, he wouldn't knock Madrimov out or stop him, but he would still effectively get the win because that's what real champions do, real fighters do. They make adjustments to get the victory. Even when Bud beat Sean Porter, that was one of the reasons I said Porter was going to lose, because he's unable to make adjustments when needed. And they even tried to say Bud was down on the scorecards against Sean Porter before he stopped Sean Porter. So if that fight goes 12 rounds, y'all saying that Porter would have beat Bud? Nah, I don't think so. So, people got to start, listen, use your logic, man. You got to understand. And Roy Jones was one of them type fighters like, man, listen, if I can't, man, I gotta try to get up for certain fights. And this is a real thing with fighters, having to actually get up for certain fights. This is a real thing. Don't take my word for it. Just check around. Do your own research about how fighters talk about having to get up for certain fights. Boots was supposed to be fighting a unification fight against Brian Norman Jr., but they turned down 1.7 million. That was the most money because they wanted 2.2. Y'all should have took the 1.7, try to prove he was regular, and then fight him again in a rematch, and then you could have got the 2.2 or maybe a little more than that. So that's how I know y'all really didn't want to fight. Y'all was just clout chasing, and y'all scared. Because if Boots is supposed to be so regular, then why didn't y'all fight him to prove it? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And again, I appreciate everybody that rock with me and that support the channel.